We fixing to make this town real smoking.
I am quite surprised. I turned on my PS5 to play some Tekken 8 to get some footage for this video and also future videos. And what's before me? A update. Patch 1.11 is coming to Tekken 8 and it is dropping tomorrow. By the time you watch this video, I'll probably have another video out looking at the patch notes. But this update it kind of comes out of shock. You know, we're used to Tekken 8 not doing anything, and now they're doing stuff so fast. Is this because tournaments is over? Is this because, you know, the Tekken World Tour isn't here? Is this because people are very upset about the character Clive? There's a lot of things that could be touched in this update, and I have so many questions as to what it can be. And those questions will be answered very, very soon. We only have to wait a little bit. But I do wonder if this will be a significant update because, you know, I haven't really played much of the game since Clive came out, and not necessarily because of Clive. It's just like I'm just generally kind of tired of like dealing with very aggressive moves with no type of defensive way out. And I play Yoshimitsu. Yoshimitsu has to flash, which is busted. He has to spin, which is incredible. But even with that being the case, there is still so many moves that just leaves you with no option whatsoever. It feels like even at times blocking is a mistake. Like against Brian Fury, who splat you against wall. Yoshimitsu, who has an unblockable and will rip through you. So many characters do crazy things in this game. And a lot of people are pushing for the developers to say, hey, please help us out here. I want to play defense. Can I play defense? And so far, the developers haven't really added anything in the game meaningful that allows you to do that. They have nerfed tracking in the past. They have nerfed the tracking on throws. They nerf tracking on the heat activation. They nerf tracking here and there, but all of those things is very, very small when you talk about what the real problems are that it's affecting this game. Jin Kazama is a character that a lot of people really didn't say that much about, but then we saw him, and also Claudio and Jun Kazama, strangely enough. Those three characters really showed up at the Tekken World Tour Finals and decimated. There was no Yoshimitsu in sight. There was only one, I believe, and he did God's spinning finger or whatever it's called, and the whole player base was terrified of that one instance. I think the players is kind of like on edge with the balancing. Clive being added to the picture and him being, you know, a lot of people were telling me he's one of the strongest Tekken characters to ever Tekken. That is crazy. That is not what this game needs. This game does not need Akuma 2.0, but simpler and a obnoxious Noctis 2.0, but stronger. With this update, you have to wonder what will the developers do, because they said themselves that they will be dropping patch notes. Will this be something like when we've seen with Lydia when she released and then they gave her like 6 moves that changed? Will it be something like that, or will they tackle multiple different characters? When Clive released, a lot of people were expecting them to balance the game at that point in time, but I thought that would be a bad time to do it because you don't want to have people trying to relearn their own character while also learning a matchup against Clive. So I was definitely saying the developers should give us some time to learn the matchup with Clive, and then they can nerf our own individual characters. Or if you feel your character needs it, maybe a buff. But now that time has passed, right? Clive has been out for about a month. The player base went up, the player base went down, not only in terms of numbers, but also in terms of excitement. It's a roller coaster, up and down, up and down, up and down. And you wonder when the developers will put everyone back on track to just go up. Tekken 7 did it. You know, people argue that the game wasn't that good. Season 1 with Tekken 7, I think that Tekken 7 was never fundamentally flawed. Tekken 8 is definitely fundamentally flawed when you talk about the offense, the heat system, the tracking, many different things. But Clive being added into that pot and stirred up and thrown at the players, that's not really what the player base wants. So I want to see how the developers will go about you know, one, addressing everything that the players is throwing at them, but talking specifically about Clive, you know, they kind of created a monster with this guy. His power crush hits full screen. His forward 1+2 is considered by pretty much everyone to be the best move in the game. And how will the developers go about doing that? Will they make it more punishable? Maybe not. Will they reduce the tracking, the heat, the this, the that? Probably not. Throughout Tekken 8, the developers has been unwilling to give the players what they want. And I really would love for those of you guys who are watching to really like explain what it is that you like or dislike about Tekken 8, because I have been talking with many different people over the past couple of months about Tekken 8, and the one thing that I want to do is I want to talk to someone who is having a great time in Tekken 8. I want to talk to someone who just loves the game and what they're offering, and just hear from a different perspective on Tekken 8, a positive perspective. But then also I want to talk to someone who's like in red ranks, in orange ranks, maybe even purple. We know the ranks are super inflated in this game. I tweeted out the other day that in Tekken 7, you could not get past red ranks without having a positive win-loss ratio. In Tekken 8, you can reach Fujin while having a negative win-loss ratio. So the inflation is in full effect. Players are feeling the burn of this game from many different angles. And like I said, I want to hear from someone who likes the game. You can reach out to me through Twitter. We can set something up, talk on live stream, turn it into a video, etc. But then also what I would like to see from the developers as well is the whole plugging issue. So they added the thing in the game where they take loss points from people who plug. And that had this reverse effect that I was trying to make everyone aware of. What happens to the people who are faced with, issues? Some people have their own issues like Wi-Fi, PC issues or whatever, but I think people who are having those kind of issues in ranked, you should be punished for it. In Marvel's Rivals, they will punish you for having any connection like that. But also, there's another thing that's just completely unacceptable, and that's just all of the crashing and whatnot that Tekken 8 does itself. Now, I know that this does not impact console players that much. It's more so a PC thing, but we know that PC statistically makes up like half of the player base. So when half of the player base are prone to running into all sorts of glitches that can make them crash, and then you had this feature be put in the game to where they take points from people who leave the match, that is a nightmare just waiting to happen, and happen it did. It's causing chaos. So will that be adjusted? Will that be fixed? Will they also fix the same issue affecting that thing where if people plug on the character select screen, the game get confused and take points from both? Very weird things that the developers have done. It seems like they can't get past one update without having some kind of controversy. If you go back to what they did with Heihachi, if you go back to what they did with Lydia, every single update so far has been pretty chaotic, and I just want the Tekken developers to have a win at this point. Like, just have a win, have a good update where you deliver things that the players want. Of course, you can't deliver everything all the time, but deliver meaningful changes to the game, characters, matchmaking, netcode. There's many things that the players are asking for out of developers, and it's a lot to really sit here and think about and try to process. But in reality, will this one update address it all? Have they been waiting for the tournaments to end to finally bring peace to the game? I don't know. I think it's interesting just sitting at the look, like when we are in this moment, just sitting back and watching what the developers are doing. Because pretty much at this point, right, we all know where Tekken 8 is at. We all know what's up, right? And seeing how the developers react in this moment is make or break. A lot of people are really putting their hopes in the season 2, but also these individual steps and updates and moments leading us to season 2 is very important as well.